Welcome back to A News Network. Today we will listen to Justin Trudeau on the first time he talks about the Paris Agreement, which is basically the carbon tax 8 years ago. Yes, 2016. We're going to start off with the conservative guy talking, and this is after Trudeau's long speech about it, but it's good to hear the conservative guy who he's replying back to Trudeau's 15-minute speech, and then we'll have Trudeau's 15-minute speech, which is the first time he's brought up carbon tax, and look at all the failures that have happened and everything spewing out of his mouth after 8 years that nothing ever happened, and it's so horrible that he has done this. Let's have a listen to the conservative guy, and then we'll go through in Trudeau and do that whole part.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Those of us on this side of the House sat back and listened very carefully to the Prime Minister's speech. And as usual, his talking points are full of lofty goals, warm and fuzzy platitudes. And then he lowered the boom. He took a sledgehammer and told the promises, if you don't do it my way, if you don't accept a carbon tax or a carbon pricing model, I'm going to do it for you. Now, Mr. Speaker, you may recall that during the election last year, the Prime Minister talked about not only sunny ways, but he talked about ushering in this new era of cooperative federalism. You may recall that. When you look at the mandate letter that the ministers received, including the Environment Minister, you will notice it's sprinkled with the word collaboration, cooperation, partnerships. And here he lowers the boom on the provinces and said, I'm not going to cooperate with you. It's my way or the highway. It's gotten so bad, Mr. Speaker. Here's what David Hertel, who's the Environment Minister in Quebec, recently said. Quebec, Ontario, and other provinces have serious issues with his approach to addressing climate change. We have serious issues because, first of all, a national carbon tax hurts existing systems like cap and trade, and it also does not respect the Vancouver Declaration principles, and also it does not respect provincial jurisdictions. So, Mr. Speaker, Henry Ford once said that people can have a car painted any color they want as long as it's black. That appears to be the Prime Minister's approach today. So my question to the Prime Minister is this. Why is he using a sledgehammer to force the provinces and territories to accept a carbon tax grab? And what happened to his promised new era of cooperative federalism?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Debate. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Opportunities over the past year, over the past number of years really, to reflect on Canada's success. And every time we have done something well, whether it was decades ago with Medicare and CPP, or more recently getting our national debt under control in the 1990s, taking steps to ensure the stability of our banking system, or responding to a global refugee crisis, our success has been rooted in two things. First, that when we see a problem, we don't walk away from it or deny that it exists. Instead, we lean in. We work hard. We work together to solve the problems that come our way. And second, when we say we're going to do something, we follow through. We live up to our commitments. The world expects that of us, and so do Canadians. So do the markets. It is in that very Canadian spirit of solving problems and keeping promises that I address the House today and share the government's plan for pricing carbon pollution.
Today, I address the House to share the government's plan for pricing carbon pollution. After decades of inaction, after years of missed opportunities, we are finally going to take concrete steps, genuine steps, to build a clean economy, to create more opportunities for Canadians, and to make our world a better world for our children and grandchildren.
Nous n'allons pas bouder la science.
Mr. Speaker, we are not going to shun science, and we will not put off the inevitable. With our government's plan, all Canadian jurisdictions will put a price on carbon pollution by 2018. In order to get there, the government will set a floor price for carbon pollution. The price will be set at a level that will assist Canada in achieving its goals for greenhouse gas emission reductions while allowing companies better stability and predictability. The provinces and territories will be able to choose how they wish to implement this price. They can have a direct price on carbon pollution, or they can adopt a cap and trade system. That system will have to be strict enough to meet or exceed the federal floor price.
Provinces and territories will have a choice in how they implement this pricing. They can put a direct price on carbon pollution, or they can adopt a cap and trade system with the expectation that it be stringent enough to meet or exceed the federal benchmark.
Well, that benchmark was never met in 8 years. And even the one that was set is not from the Liberals. It's from Stephen Harper's. He took it down to Stephen Harper's because he knew it was so outrageous. But he didn't care. And the provinces and territories never even had a choice with any of this. He lied about that as well. So let's keep listening.
The
government proposes that the price on carbon pollution should start at a minimum of $10 per ton in 2018, rising by $10 each year to reach $50 per ton in 2022.
The government proposes that the price on carbon pollution should start at a minimum of $10 per ton in 2018, rising by $10 each year to $50 per ton in 2022. Provinces and territories that choose cap and trade systems will need to decrease emissions in line to both Canada's target and to the reductions expected in jurisdictions that choose a price-based system. If neither price nor cap and trade is in place by 2018, the Government of Canada will implement a price in that jurisdiction. Whatever approach is chosen, this policy will be revenue neutral for the federal government. All revenues generated under this system will stay in the province or territory where they are generated. Because pollution crosses borders, all provinces must do their part. And to make sure that this plan continues to meet Canada's targets, it will be reviewed at the end of 5 years in 2022.
As we speak, the Minister of the Environment and Climate Change is in Montreal discussing the details of this plan with our provincial and territorial partners. Over the next 2 months, the government will work closely with the provinces, territories, and Indigenous organizations to finalize this plan. These discussions are essential because we know that no plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions can succeed without the support of our provincial and territorial partners who have already shown tremendous leadership in fighting climate change. I look particularly forward to meeting with the provincial premiers and Indigenous leaders on December 8th and 9th to finalize the details of the Pan-Canadian framework to fight climate change. This framework will not only include a plan to put a price on carbon pollution, it will also set out the steps to take to better support innovation and jobs in the green energy sector, to manage the effects of climate change and improve our ability to adapt and resist climate.
Again, to congratulate the provinces who have led on this file while the previous federal government abdicated its responsibility to all Canadians. That era is over. Of course, a plan is only as good as the principles upon which it is based. And so I would like to take a few minutes, Mr. Speaker, to talk about why the government has decided to act now to put pricing on carbon pollution. There are many reasons to act now, and I'm certain that the members opposite are as familiar with those reasons as the government is, even if their track record suggests otherwise. But today, I would like to identify three of the biggest reasons why pricing carbon pollution is right for Canada and for Canadians. Premièrement,
First of all, pricing carbon pollution will give us a significant advantage in building a cleaner economy. Reasonable and predictable pricing of carbon pollution will encourage innovation because businesses will have to find new ways to reduce emissions and pollute less. That will also make our companies more competitive. The global economy is increasingly clean, and Canada cannot allow itself to fall behind. Everywhere in the world, markets are changing constantly. They are getting rid of products and services that cause carbon pollution, and they're turning toward cleaner, more sustainable options. By giving Canadian businesses incentives that they need to make these changes, we are opening the door to new opportunities. And you don't have to take my word for it, Mr. Speaker. Over this summer, business leaders from all over the country spoke out in favor of pricing carbon pollution. Retail leaders like Canadian Tire, Loblaws, IKEA, and Air Canada. Energy producers like Enbridge, Shell, and Suncor. Natural resources companies like Barrick Gold, Resolute Forest Products, and Teck Resources. And financial institutions like BMO, Desjardins, the Royal Bank, Scotiabank, and TD. These businesses support pricing carbon pollution because they recognize that when it's done well, it's the most effective way of reducing greenhouse gas emissions while still boosting economic growth. They know that a clean environment and a strong economy go hand in hand. They are anxious to take advantage of the opportunities stemming from a clean, growing economy. And they recognize, as does this government, that if we don't act now, the Canadian economy will suffer.
The second reason to move ahead with pricing carbon pollution is the benefit it will deliver to Canadians, especially for the middle class and those working hard to join it. As the business leaders I just mentioned put it, carbon pricing uses the market to drive clean investment decisions. It encourages innovation. Well, that innovation will bring with it new and exciting job prospects for Canadian workers. As one example, last year, nearly $1/3 trillion was invested globally in renewable power, almost 50% more than was invested in power from fossil fuels. And that's a trend that will only accelerate, Mr. Speaker. Simply put, there are billions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of good, well-paying jobs on the table for the countries that get this right. Engineering, design, and programming jobs. Manufacturing jobs, whether it's solar panels or electric vehicles. Jobs researching and processing biofuels, among many, many other examples. If we do not take full advantage of these opportunities now before us, we will be doing Canadians a tremendous disservice. Et finalement,
and finally, I believe that all Canadians will understand the third reason why we need to go ahead and put a price on carbon pollution. It has been proven that this is a good way to stop major emitters from fueling climate change and threatening the entire planet. Pricing carbon is an effective way of reducing air pollution and the pollution of our ocean waters. Just last week, the World Health Organization published a report according to which 9 out of 10 people live in areas where the air quality is poor. The consequences for human health are major and devastating. Every year, 3 million people die from causes related to air pollution. We must and we will do better.
we've seen what can happen when governments take a stand for cleaner air. In 2005, in Toronto, there were 53 smog days. A decade later, thanks in part to the phasing out of coal-fired generating stations, there were 0 smog days. This is a very big deal if your child has asthma and can't go outside to play with her friends during her summer vacation. Or if you have grandparents who have to miss out on family events because they find it difficult to breathe the air in their own backyard. And if you live in Canada's north or in our coastal communities, or really, Mr. Speaker, in any community that is subject to extreme weather conditions and the resulting floods, droughts, and wildfires, then the effects of climate change itself cannot be denied. There is no hiding from climate change. It is real, and it is everywhere. We cannot undo the last 10 years of inaction. What we can do is make a real and honest effort today and every day.
I believe it with the 10 years of no action, because he is throwing absolutely everything at the wall all the time right now. He is like, it was a gangbusters or Hail Mary. He is destroying Canada with these inflation and taxes. Even after a pandemic, he can't even see it. That's how much he cares about anyone but himself. And take action. How many plane rides has this guy gone on? I know a leader has to fly all over the place, but he seems to rub it in everyone's face and going to these lavish billionaire properties, and they're always a friend. Like, this is what happens when you're so filthy rich, and you met a queen and whatever when he was 8 years old or something like that, and then went to a funeral and sang that song. Anyway, let's keep listening.
To protect the health of our environment, and with it, the health of all Canadians. The Governor of the Bank of England, one of Canada's best exports, by the way, has spoken to this issue on many occasions. And Mr. Carney has an interesting term for it. He calls the unwillingness to act the tragedy of the horizon. What he means is that the truly catastrophic effects of climate change will be felt in the future, or as he puts it, beyond the traditional horizons of most actors, imposing a cost on future generations that the current one has no direct incentive to fix. With great respect to Mr. Carney, because I think when it comes to climate change we're very much on the same page, I actually believe that current actors, such as the government, do have a direct incentive to fix things.
And if I might just speak on a slightly more personal note, Mr. Speaker, I have 3 motivations. They are Xavier, Ella Grace, and Hadrian. I'm not the only one who worries about the type of world we're leaving for the next generation and those that follow. From community to community, I've talked to parents and grandparents who shared their worries with me about the future, and they've challenged the government and their provincial and community leaders to take action immediately to avoid tragic and devastating consequences. We hear their concerns and we respect their opinions. And because we respect the will of Canadians, we are going ahead and pricing carbon pollution.
Mr. Speaker, as you know, the government is not obliged to seek the approval of Parliament prior to ratifying the Paris Agreement, nor do we need the House to demonstrate its support for the Vancouver Declaration. We have, however, chosen to bring this issue before the House because we think it is important that all parliamentarians, and through them all Canadians, be given a chance to debate and vote on this crucial issue. Therefore, I look forward to what I hope will be a spirited yet respectful debate on this important topic, because it is one that will shape the country we live in for generations to come. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Questions et commentaires, questions and comments. The Honourable Member for Abbotsford.
Well, thank you.
Welcome back to A News Network. Just a quick note, I've seen that many of you have been watching from the sidelines without joining our subscriber family. Considering Trudeau's keen interest in the internet, hitting that subscribe button ensures you're always updated on our latest episodes. Your voice is important to us, so please share your opinions in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more compelling content. Your involvement truly makes a difference.